Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Great Lakes Truck Series on Split Second Broadcasting. My name is Hunter Brittle, alongside Elliot Henderson, and we'll be bringing you all the action from the Charlotte Motor Speedway here tonight in the 7th race of the Great Lakes Truck Series Season 9. While this isn't our home track, this is NASCAR's home track, and that in itself lends it to getting circled on a lot of our drivers' calendars because it's such an iconic place to race. Elliot, what about this place makes it so special to everyone here?
And I think it's just the layout. There's not too many. I mean, there are now, but at the time there weren't a lot of D-shaped ovals like this. It's a really high-speed track, especially with these trucks. There's a lot of on throttle time, a lot of momentum-driven passes, a good bit of aero games. It's a natural track now. A lot of tracks are like this, but man, when it was first on the circuit, and it was the All-Star race to begin with in real life and everything. It's just a blast to be at. It's an awesome track. It's in the middle of NASCAR country in Charlotte, North Carolina, and man, it's just a really fun track to drive. So watch for these guys to kind of make some extra moves and try to put on a show. I know we've had a show here a few different times, coming to the finish and really close battles. It kind of lends to that. If you can get two guys outside in 3 and 4 and kind of pinch them down, you can kind of get that, Atlanta or big close finish. So we'll have to see how that all transpires as we get ready to go green here, and we'll go through the field and give you a starting order.
Starting on pole tonight, for the first time this season, is Spencer Owens in the 23 truck. Good qualifying effort from him. He with the pole time of 30.791, 0.04 of a second faster than the second place driver. Speaking of which, is Shane Neiswanger in that iconic Zen Bandit number 49, starting in second place. Behind them, it's Ashton Lawson in the 26 and Michael Senzi with a strong effort here. We know this is this is one of his favorite tracks, so a pair of Florida drivers rounding out our top 4 here.
And behind them, you got Zach Henry starting in the 5th spot, notable former champion of this series, trying to make his march towards the front in points. And to his outside is going to be Jackson Sims in the 6th truck.
Chris Heller starts from the 7th position tonight in that number 11 truck, looking to make a splash in his return to Great Lakes Racing at Charlotte. And to his outside, TCB, Tyrell Baker in that iconic number 3, looking to be moving forward here early on.
Mr. Pink back in his pink truck this week, Eric Kepf starting 9th, and to his outside is going to be Brent Kingcott rolling off 10th.
Alex Fetter rolls off in the 11th position in the 38th truck here tonight. And to his outside, Jordan Gonzalez in that iconic 48 truck rather, will be starting in 12th.
Yeah, rough start for Jordan last week, getting caught up in a wreck. Jared Darling finds himself qualified back in 13th. Not very normal for Jared to be back there. We'll have to see how he sorts himself out and gets to the front, with Nicholas Coressel starting 14th on his outside.
A pair of dark horse drivers in 15th and 16th with Lewis Woodall and Robin Durr in those starting spots respectively. They'll be looking to make their way towards the front here. I know this is one of Robin Durr's favorite tracks, so look for him to make some moves early on.
Gavin Fitzgerald having maybe one of his best seasons in GLTS competition, going to roll off 17th tonight with Mike McConville 18th.
Austin Moore in the 91 rolls off in 19th there. A little numerology for you to start the evening off. And to his outside will be Trent Curtis starting 20th.
And to round out the field, Preston Henry rolls off 21st. Last car to sit down a lap. May have gotten a second lap mixed up because he was about 2/10 off of Trent Curtis there between the 20th and 21st positions. Ross Brockman making his return, usually pretty busy. Coming back to run here tonight at Charlotte. Watch for him because this could be a fuel race. He'll be rolling off from the 22nd position. And James Schiffel will round out your field. Short field here tonight with the update that iRacing put out. We'll have to see how that works to our favor. Usually that tends to lead to green flag racing, but I don't want to jinx it. But with 23 cars or trucks on track, we'll hopefully see this one go all the way through. 100 laps tonight. Fuel window is going to be about 30 to 33 laps, which lends you very close to being able to make it on 2 stops again. Ross Brockman is usually your guy to play that fuel strategy. Not too many other guys sort that out. We'll have to see what he does from that 22nd position, see if he can manage that fuel and manage that track position. But we're going to go green this time by as we go into turn 3 here for the last time.
The field double files up into turn number 3 here. Spencer Owens on that pole position. To his outside, Shane Neiswanger in the Zen Bandit 49. They're gonna lead the field to green here in this stacked field here tonight for the Great Lakes Truck Series. The pace car dives onto pit road here. We're ready to go green. Here in Charlotte, Spencer Owens looking for the green flag. There it is, and he's away like a cannonball, and with Shane Neiswanger hot on his heels.
A little bit of wheel spin there. Good bit of wheel spin towards the back behind Eric Kep. A couple guys didn't really get going, or maybe someone was blinking. I believe that may have been Feder. Someone blinking back around 10th spot. Everybody gets sorted out, though, and gets going. The bottom lane was very tacked together, but the outside struggling. Shane's trying to stay clear, but Zach's going to push Austin underneath Shane. They're going to be battling for second going into turn 3.
Spencer Owens gets away with the lead into turn 3. He's got it now. He's away. Shane Neiswanger on the top side. He's going to get clear of Ashton Lawson. They'll settle into the second and third spots. Behind them, it's a dogfight for fourth between the 12 of Zach Henry and the 37 of Michael Sinzi, with Chris Heller in the 11 coming in hot and going into turn 2.
Yeah, TCB right there lurking as well. Sensi's just got to play it safe with the tires here. Sims looking to the inside of Eric Kep back there for about the 6-7 spot, as we've got battles all over right outside the top 5. Sensi still side by side with Heller through 3 and 4. Not going to give that spot up. And the top lane works at the beginning of these runs. They almost make contact off the corner, but the top lane's kind of where you want to be until it cycles out, and then that's going to kill your tires a little bit in the middle of the run, and then you can potentially go back up there towards the top of 1 and 2 towards the end, or pinch guys down in 3 and 4. It's definitely a 2-lane track. It just depends how you kind of manage your tires. But you'll see a lot of guys like Zach Henry, and I'm sure Shane Neiswanger and other guys just feeding the bottom. But some of these other guys will definitely jump up to the top. You can already see Ashton running the middle of the track just ahead, looking at trying to track down Shane Neiswanger and Spencer Owens.
As the field has single filed out and we've calmed down after that initial start there, Elliot, who are we looking into our favorites and some of our dark horses tonight going into tonight's 100-lap event?
Well, I mean, Zach Henry and Michael Sensi are the two that really jump out in my mind. The last time we were here, they were both in the top 5. They both ran really well. Zach started in the top 5. Sensi started about 15th or so and drove his way up there. So with both of them starting up here inside the top 10, we have to just see how they do. Right now, Ashton, I'd say, is probably a dark horse. He's usually really good at saving his tires, and you can see he's kind of backed off the top 2 right now. So he's probably going to bide his time, wait for Spencer and Shane to kind of run through their stuff and hopefully drive back up there and go get them. But right now, I got to assume that guys like Sensi and Zach Henry are going to sit here and just kind of relax, wait it out. You can see Zach already making a move on Ashton and make their way up towards the front.
Zach Henry here to the inside of Ashton Lawson coming out of turn 4. He's looking for that number 3 spot, and he wants it, but they're going to be side by side as they flash across the line. Chris Heller looks to come up behind Zach there and give his 2511 teammate a little bit of a arrow push there going into the corner. Zach's going to clear Ashton and going to try and pull Chris Heller alongside and up and underneath to maybe get a twofer out of this one.
Yeah, you can see just how hard that inside lane is to actually complete that spot. He actually needed help from Zach to even kind of get there, and you can see the run. Ashton gets off the corner. He's going to get to the back to the outside of Zach Henry, actually, and clear Heller. That outside's really, really helpful at the beginning of these runs because it's just going to wear the guys down on the bottom. Going to really hurt that right front as they're trying to make a pass and hold it on the bottom and not be able to wash out to the outside wall. See, Heller can't make the move happen, and Ashton's going to fall in line. Heller's going to fall in line. It looks like TCB, who was pressuring Sensi a little bit ago, is kind of backed off, and he's kind of, letting this work out. I think he's going to see if maybe Heller and Sensi can get around Ashton, and he'll follow through. But interesting from TCB. He's usually the aggressor, and he'll go after him, as now Sims looking to the inside of Eric Kep back there for, I believe that's the 8th spot.
Passing opportunities all around this racetrack as Sims completes the pass on Mr. Pink there coming out of turn 4. Meanwhile, farther up, back at the 2511 versus Ashton Lawson camp, they were having more side-by-side battles as they single file back around here. A little bit of a tank slapper there from Jordan Gonzalez back off of turn 4. He rights it and keeps on in his way. All this fighting up here for third place has allowed the top 2 to scamper away. They've opened up about a 1.5-second gap on the third place truck of Zach Henry here. So Shane Neiswanger and Spencer Owens, a pair of Pennsylvania natives, looking to check out on the field here early on.
Yeah, you just got to wonder if that's going to be tire strategy later on. We know guys like Zach are very good at saving their stuff and making sure that they've got it at the end of the run. Ashton Lawson's another one that can really save tire and be fast at the end of a run as opposed to being quick off the bat. You're going to wonder if Shane and Spencer are thinking about that, or if they're just trying to drive away and gap themselves here, thinking maybe this goes green for a while, and if they can build a gap now, they can try to hold that throughout the rest of the run. But we'll have to wait and see. The other side is obviously fuel strategy. If you want to try to play it safe and save an extra lap or two, you might be able to make this a two-stopper if this goes green all the way through. We don't have the expectation that'll happen. We usually tend to get cautions around the middle part of these races or the very beginning. But we've kind of passed that beginning part. We're already over 10 laps in, but you can definitely see how it's spread out now, and they might be thinking that it's going to go green for a bit.
Everybody looking to find speed and positions where they can. The front pack seems to, or I say pack, it's not much of a pack, but the front few have sorted themselves out for the time being. But further on back in the pack, I'd say round about the position number 14 or so, back there in what I affectionately call as the hornet's nest. Those guys have been going at it since the drop of the green flag. You've got Gavin Fitzgerald side by side with the, who is that? Austin Moore there in the 91. They're side by side. They've been battling for what seems like ever, as well as Ross Brockman trying to make his way up through there, and a pair of TCR teammates there in Trent Curtis and Alex Fetter have been fighting against Brent Kingcott here for the last 3 or so laps. Just have not been able to get around him. As you can see, the momentum gets cut off there by the two of them getting side by side, and everybody comes up behind them because of that huge hole that they punch in the air to put pressure on the pair of TCR cars.
Yeah, we haven't seen Brockman on track in a while, and this is not the version of Brockman I'm used to. He's gone from 22nd to 18th. Not very normal for him to do. He's normally hanging out at the back and saving fuel, but maybe he's playing a different strategy here. Maybe he's going to save fuel and also drive up through the field. Yeah, we're just not used to him kind of making moves at the beginning here, but he's made that outside work. I'm interested to see how that works for his tires later on. Like I said, usually running the outside is a little bit worse on the tires because you're running a lot more momentum along the top, and it's wearing out the right front a little bit more. As you see Ashton Lawson looking back to the inside of Zach Henry. Again, we talked about the fact these guys can save tire. Not only are they racing again, but they've chopped out about 3 or 4 tenths back out of this lead. They were 1.5, 1.6 back. Across the line here, they're going to be about 1.2, 1.1 even to Spencer Owens, as Shane Neiswanger has also lost a little bit of ground to Spencer. So you're going to have to see how this all plays out halfway through this run now on lap 15. Again, pit window is going to be about 30 to 33 laps, maybe longer if they can stretch it. We'll have to see. But currently already halfway through this run, and we're seeing how it's playing out with these guys being able to save some tire and starting to drag their way back up.
The 12 of Zach Henry slowly but surely reeling in that top two. The lead is now under a second here as he's taking advantage of a little bit of tire saving earlier on in the run, and now the back half it's starting to come into play here as Ashton Lawson is just hooked to his rear bumper there. Maybe trying to get a little bit of a draft off of here. Elliot, this place isn't really a drafting track per se like you would expect at Daytona and Talladega, but we do see a couple of these guys, like they look like they're tandeming up or pairing up, or in the case of the back of this pack, packed up with this hard racing. What lends itself to that at this 1.5 mile track?
I think a lot of that is just how difficult it is to pass. It's really hard to pass on the bottom, so you kind of get in a situation where you're like, let me just follow the guy and see if I can, push him into a corner, make him overthink his line, make him get a little tight off exit, or, force him into a mistake and kind of reach off of that. So you kind of just sit there and you bide your time and you wait, like you see Ashton doing with Zach, and we saw Jordan do with Eric, and these guys at the back of the pack all over each other like this. You just kind of got to wait it out. But 9 times out of 10, the idea is that you got to get to the top. You see, wow, Trent Curtis, Austin Moore all sliding off the corner there, nearly hitting the wall. But you just got to get to the top of the track and get a nose on their quarter panel and drag them back through aero. So it's about kind of sitting there. As Zach Henry's actually going to let Ashton go here. Ashton got to the top of him there, went down the backstretch. Zach kind of lifted and let him go. So move Ashton back up to 3rd, and Jordan Gonzalez has actually gone around a couple guys back there. He's moved up to 9th from 12th.
Solid run from JG what used to be JG3. Now he's JG48 here as Jordan Gonzalez makes his return to Great Lakes Racing. But meanwhile, back at the front, Ashton Lawson has gotten around Zach Henry, like you said, and he is now starting to reel in the top two. The gap is down to 0.8 as maybe those front two maybe burned off a little bit of tire there. Ashton, it just the gap, you can see it shrinking now. 0.6 going into turn 3. Solid effort here late in the run from Ashton Lawson.
We're going to go ahead and take lap 20 here, take a little bit of a break, and hopefully when we come back, we'll have a battle for the lead or for the top 3 at a minimum. We'll catch up in just a moment.
Back at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway here on Split Second Broadcasting, Ashton Lawson had just run down Spencer Owens and Shane Neiswanger, had gotten to the inside of Shane, and then had a huge moment coming off the corner there and has lost all that precious track position. He's now back in the 4th position behind Zach Henry and falling into the clutches of Chris Heller.
Yeah, we might have to get a replay on that. I'm not sure. Shane apologized, but I'm not sure it's either it's on him or if it's on Ashton. The trucks do get tight. They get a little loose as well. They get that kind of, tight loose off where they're tight in the middle of the corner and they're sliding on exit off of 4. So we'll have to see as we pull up a replay for you if that was Shane coming down or Ashton going up or what exactly happened there. Here it is coming off of turn 4. You can see Ashton just kind of goes up and Shane just acted like he wasn't there, honestly. Came all the way down to that blue line, followed Spencer, and Ashton was there.
Off of 3, Lewis Woodall is around in the infield there. He goes off the nose of Mike McConville. They were 3 wide off of turn 4, and it just didn't work out. The tires were fading. They were all loosey-goosey like you just saw there in the replay with Shane and Ashton, but with 3 wide, it's a lot harder to pull off, and it didn't work out. So around goes Lewis Woodall here, and actually that didn't bring out a caution. I can't believe it. We stay green here on lap number 26.
No yellow.
What a moment.
And it was bad enough for McConville to have to come down pit road. He's hitting pit road this time by a quarter of the way through the race. Now, if these guys can't stretch it to 33 or 34, it doesn't change if they pit on 25 because they can't make it unless on 2 stops. So 25, 50, 75 would be the same thing. It'd be the best for your tire wear to do that. So McConville hits pit road. We'll get you a replay as soon as we can, but the action has certainly picked up everywhere here as Shane's still trying to attack Spencer, who seems to have run through his stuff. Ashton's gone back around Zach Henry. Heller's on the attack of Zach Henry, and they're still catching the top two here.
What was a two-truck race became a 4-truck race. Then it became a 2-truck race again, and now suddenly it's 6 trucks as Michael Cincy and Chris Heller have come to party here as they dive off into turn 3, and everyone running different lines, top, bottom, top, or middle, bottom, and then 2 wide off of the corner here. Big action ramping up here in the closing laps of this fuel run. With Jackson Sims and TCB looking to close down that gap to make it 8 cars. But for the time being, we've got 2 wide for third place here. Ashton Lawson going to be able to get to the back of Shane Neiswanger as they dive off into 3.
Yeah, Zach Henry had a moment a few laps ago right underneath Ashton Lawson coming off of turn 2. Caught him just as he is here and got a little door tap. They touch again. These guys are a little wishy-washy off that corner, getting a little slippery off of turn 4. It looks like as Sensi and Heller get real nice and close going down into turn 1. Sensi's working real hard. He'll clear him if he can come. Yeah, I believe Heller kind of gave it to him there too. Comes up in front. Sensi up to the top 5. And here comes Sims looking to the bottom.
Make it a 7-car race now as Jackson Sims has caught the back of this pack. He goes underneath Chris Heller here, trying to wrap the bottom and make it work. Won't work this time. They're going to come off 2 wide as Zach Henry has another moment off of 4, going to lose momentum and come under attack to the 37 car. Zach Henry, the tire starting to fade on that truck as we get down into what is going to be the first pit window.
And here comes Jackson Sims. Shane's in the outside wall. That'll give Ashton the room. Sensi up the middle. He's going to go 3 wide all the way up to second. Michael Sensi on the top lane. Wow, Shane kept it up on the wall. Ashton had to lift out of it, and it gave Sensi the perfect amount of momentum. He's up to the 2nd spot. Clear of Ashton Lawson. Shane's now battling for 5th with Zach Henry. Jackson Sims moves past a couple of guys, move him up to battling for 3rd with Ashton Lawson, and all the meanwhile Spencer Owens is like, yeah, you guys can do this. I'm going to try to check out. But Sims has saved so much tire. Look at how he gets through the middle of the corner there. He's going to move up in front of Ashton Lawson, and they're all still trying to track down Spencer.
Shades of Lewis Hamilton last year at Silverstone. Through goes Sensi on that call there. Excellent move by Michael Sensi to get up into the 2nd position. As Spencer's hitting pit road now, the rest of this group is going to stay out. And Elliot, what's that going to do for fuel strategy here? Are we at the window?
We are, like I was just saying, pitting on 25 is no different than if you can't make it to 34 because you can't make it on 2 stops at that point. So 25, 50, 75 is as good as doing, 30, 60, 90. You'd rather just have you'd rather have a more even amount to your tires. Spencer pitting there actually really hurt Sensi. He was down on the bottom. You could see that he got all locked up there, but it looks like Sims and Lawson are both going to come down here with Heller, with Shane Neiswanger. So there go 4 more of your top 5 as now TCB, and you've got Nick Caressel up here. These guys at Save Tire are moving up towards the front. The big question here is who has the fuel? Is anyone going to go to 34? Because Sensi is currently on 34. If they can do it, if they can go 34, then they'd go 68, and then they can go to the end from there.
This pit sequence shaping up like we are at a Daytona or Talladega here, as this last group of 5 here from the leaders, they dive on a pit road. Ooh, big moment there from Zach Henry. He's just all over the place tonight with his truck, providing a show for us up here in the booth and you at home. Like I was saying, this looks like the pit sequence of a plate track with how big of packs that we get of these guys pitting here together, all trying to make the fuel strategy and the tires work there. As Jared Darling overshoots his box, that's going to be a huge or costly penalty for him when they come out and back onto the track. So we'll have to see where these guys cycle back out to. Meanwhile, it's back out on the track. It's all Spencer Owens as he's coming off of 4 here. The guys on pit road, now they fire away. And here comes Spencer, and there he goes. So this big gap here that Spencer gets by pitting 2 laps earlier than these guys, he's going to have 2 laps fresher tires, but that means he's going to have 2 laps older tires at the end of this run. So look for these guys to make a resounding charge, not unlike the first run that we saw here at the end of this second run here in the 60 something laps here at the end of this pit. So pit stops have just about all been completed here. Michael Senzi and Jordan Gonzalez battling there off of 4. They get it all sorted out, and the field has cycled back around to, I believe, Spencer Owens is...
Well, Mike McConville short-pitted everybody, remember, so he's going to be a second and a half up. But tires are a big deal here. That 2 laps before everybody else that Spencer did, first of all, scary with fuel. Second of all, those tires, that's going to matter. You saw how much him and Shane fell off. If he continues to run how he did at the beginning of that last run, he is going to be absolutely decimated by guys like Jackson Sims, who is about 2.5 seconds off of him, but remember how much tire Sims had. He drove past half of those guys before the pit stops. So right now, I'd say Sims is probably in the catbird seat. It's just going to come down to fuel, in which case Sensi and Zach Henry are the best, as well as TCB, as far as being able to go the distance on just a 2-stop race. Everybody else is looking at about 2, maybe 3 laps short, unless they stretch one of these runs. These guys are on top of each other for about this 3rd spot, though. Ashton Lawson right there with Gavin Fitzgerald and others all making contact. There's Heller, and they're trying to get through 2 right now.
So much action here in the early laps of this event here. Gavin Fitzgerald goes back to the 4th place position. Now he's going to fall into the clutches of Shane Neiswanger, as Shane's coming back up through the field here, trying to make an early charge on those tires. He's throwing tire saving to the wind here, trying to get every position he can while everybody's all stacked up in front of each other. But I do believe, like you said, Jackson Sims seems to be the one in the catbird seat with the amount of tire saving that he had in that early run. It's going to be tough to beat if he can repeat that level of saving with that level of speed that he had at the end there. But we'll just have to see. Spencer Owens has gone back around Mike McConville. He's got a 4-second lead as they flash off into turn 1.
Yeah, that tire management is really showing. Mike McConville is already a half second slower than what Spencer Owens is doing. Gavin has already dropped like a rock. Austin Moore is going backwards. These guys have pitted 2 or 3 laps too soon. I don't know if now they're trying to pull the fuel save margin and, make this their long run, and everyone else made the first one their long run. But right now, that is not working for any of them, as Zach is now putting the pressure on Michael Sensi. But Spencer Owens is gone. He's got about a 3-second lead on Sims, 1.8 on McConville, and it's really going to come down to whether Spencer can stretch any of these runs out, or if Sensi and Henry can battle this out with TCB not very far behind with that better fuel strategy right now.
With the amount that the tires had worn off, it reminds you of a Darlington style race where you just want to go as long as possible with how badly these tires got chewed up there at the end. Elliot, has that been the case in this track in recent history, or is the tire wear just gotten ramped up?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, McConville's losing a lot of time. It's kind of interesting to watch because you'd think the 25, 50, 75 wouldn't be that bad of a strategy, especially if these guys are going to go 34. But with how the tires wear here, that right front is cooking. And God, they are 3 wide right now. Ashton Lawson trying to get around McConville. Sims right in front of them. Heller to the outside, and Shane Neiswanger right there. You can see just how bad those tires are from McConville. But with that right front cooking the way it does, these trucks get so tight on corner exit that if you have to lift on exit, like I said at the beginning of the race, super momentum-based track, you're losing a lot of time. So it's just with how the tires wear, and if you can't save your right front, you are really going to suffer at the end of these runs, like you saw Shane and Spencer doing there. That's what backed them up and put 8 guys under a blanket right at the end of that run. And you're going to see it again. That's how this track works. It'll suck guys back together. Zach Henry and Michael Sensi are certainly not out of this. They're going to have to weave their way through these guys, but you can see that they're already gaining some time here. Sensi went from 4.2 to 3.9 back. They're gaining tenths at a time on Spencer Owens currently.
Spencer Owens leads the field down the back straightaway here, still maintaining that 2.5 to 3 second gap, but it is closing here as this first pack of 4 cars, then it's 2, then another, then we just got pairs going all the way back to Jared Darling in the 12th position. everybody seems to have found what we like to call it at drafting tracks a dancing partner or so, and they're going to try and take each other to the front here as Jackson Sims and Ashton Lawson doing a little battle there for the third position. Jackson's going to let Ashton go this time, deciding to kind of save the tire there and not fight Ashton too hard at this point in the run. Meanwhile, back behind them, Zach Henry and Michael Sensi, the two black trucks, two side by side off of 4 and now down the front straightaway. They're not giving an inch to either of them.
They gained a 10th racing side by side right there over Spencer Owens. That's huge. The fact that they're still gaining time and racing each other. However, Zach getting ahead of Sensi, that's very big for him. As if he can have clean stops, he knows that he's got the best chance with the fuel load and everything that he's got to make this work. And like I said, their pace alone is going to be enough to at least get them back up to second, probably through this run, let alone they might be able to catch Spencer Owens. Again, they're gaining a 10th or more a lap on him, and only 3.5 seconds back. Like, that's manageable for the rest of the race if they don't lose too much more time.
Now, they are about halfway, roughly, through this run, and honestly, I was expecting a little bit more of a chop into the lead here, and maybe that's just my telemetry being a little bit off from everyone else's. But how do these guys manage trying to chase down Spencer Owens knowing that he's got 2-lap older tires?
Well, here's a positive for Spencer. He has nobody to race. He's not worried about trying to maintain a pace. He's not worried about which line he needs to take through the corner. He's not worried about having to exert too much force through the middle of the corner, sliding his tires. Like, he's racing himself. So all he needs to do is pay attention to the gap that he has over Chris Heller, Ashton Lawson, whoever it is that's about to be second, because now Ashton looking to the inside, and he just needs to maintain that gap. If he can do that, he will find himself in a very good spot. However, that gap is coming down. They're still gaining a 10th a lap on him. Meanwhile, Zach Henry is still chucking out a 10th a lap on him. Zach's also in traffic. So for someone like Spencer, you're racing yourself. You're just paying attention to the gap. Everybody behind him is racing each other, trying to get clear of everyone and eventually get that gap down. The biggest thing for these guys back here to do is get clear like Spencer is and be able to manage their own race. Spencer can do whatever he wants and run his own race because that's where he's at. It's going to be interesting to see how the last 5 or 6 laps go for Spencer, though, because that's when he was his slowest. He's already losing a 10th and a half from Ashton and Heller, and they're side by side for the last 2 laps. You got to wait and see if now Ashton's clear. Now we get to see if Ashton and Sims can drag them back down. But we are going to go to a break as we get a little bit closer to pit stops once again, and we'll be back in 1 second just to see how quickly Spencer Owens is going to get caught by Ashton Lawson.
Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where Ashton Lawson is bringing the cavalry to Spencer Owens' back door here. When we left, the gap was 2 seconds. Now, 0.6 going into turn 3 this time. Spencer's tires have got to be screaming right now, Elliot.
Yeah, like I said, that 2 or 3 laps sooner pit stop is going to kill you at the end of these runs. Again, though, the biggest thing that he has in his pocket is the fact that he has the track position. We've got to see how this works out. But all these guys have already started pitting. Austin Moore, Robin Durr, Mike McConville, they're full send on the 3-stop strategy. They're not even trying to do a 2-stopper like Sensi, Henry, TCB, Nick Carresso, and a couple of these guys up front. We'll have to see how Spencer can manage this. If he has the lead when he makes his pit stop every time, he's in a really good spot. It just depends on if he's going to be short on fuel, because right now, by our calculations, the top 3 can't do it on 1 more stop. They're going to need 2 stops. Whereas Sensi and Zach Henry, if they can go to lap 68, lap 67, they should be able to make it comfortably from there. If everybody else pits on 65 or 64, they can't do it from there. They're going to be super close, and they're going to have to save some laps.
The drama ramping back up here in Charlotte as Preston Henry wisely gets out of the way for the rest of these lead lap cars coming through right up to the tailgate of the Spencer Owens machine. I'm quite frankly at a loss for words. We're so excited to watch this unfold, and they haven't even caught him yet. Last time by, Ashton Lawson was half a tenth faster than Spencer. Every other lap, though, it's been 2 tenths as Jackson Sims, his saved tires have finally come to party. He goes back around Ashton Lawson. They're right behind Spencer coming across the line this time.
Sims lost a race a little bit ago this season because his internet decided to work against him. I think he's come back and he said, I don't care about that. I'm going to work on my tire strategy this one, and I'm going to make sure that I can put myself in the spot to get it done. And right now, he has been the best truck on track these last 2 runs, without a doubt. Been all the way to the lead right at the end of the last run and was able to just drive by guys in the middle of the corner. He struggled a little bit in 3 right here trying to get around Spencer, but I bet he goes down into 1 and he just sends that thing into the corner, and he'll probably get it done. I hear a little bit of contact going on. I believe Austin Moore may have gotten put in the wall at some point here. But you can see Sims going to try to make quick work of Spencer this lap, already looking to the inside in 1 and 2.
As DW was famous for saying, getting to him's one thing, passing him's a whole nother. Jackson Sims caught Spencer Owens in a hurry. Now he's having to battle him here as they go off into 3. They're side by side. Spencer Owens on the top, Jackson Sims down low. Is he going to be able to clear him off the corner this time? It looks like he's going to squeeze up in front of him and just get it done there. Move Jackson Sims to the point here as Spencer Owens back to the tailgate. Looks low. He's going to try and take the fight rather back to him as Ashton Lawson's coming up. He wants to make this a 3-truck battle for the lead here. Huge implications happening here early on, at the end of this run as Spencer Owens slips up off of 4. Ashton Lawson's going to easily take that spot and move up into the 2nd position here as Jackson Sims is scooting away now. The gap is up to a half a second.
I think Spencer knows he doesn't really have anything left in the tank there. He's going to have to make his stop here in a few laps. Sensi and Henry can't sort out who wants to make this one work on fuel, though. Sensi wants this spot back. I think he's got the pace over Zach, but Zach was able to hold him off by running the top of the track. Jackson Sims is gone, and now it's left to Ashton to try to track him back down, while Spencer just losing ground here to fall into the clutches of Zach Henry and Michael Sensi not far behind.
Really is a tale of 2 different strategies here. The short pit with the pressure tires in the early going, or the later pit, and as we've got a caution on the speedway here. I believe that's Preston Henry's around in turn 3. Heavy contact for him. He's sitting stationary at the bottom of turn 3 and 4. We're gonna have to go back and see what happened there. I heard the noise in my headset, but I didn't have it on the screen as I was just enamored by this battle for the lead that we had going up here. But now, Elliot, what does this do? Now that we've had our first caution, how big of a wrench does this throw into the strategy?
I'm going to go back. I think Preston blew a tire somewhere down the backstretch because when he went into the corner, he was hard on the brakes trying to get it woed down, and it just went straight there. And Unfortunately, Brent Kincott nowhere to go, rode right into his side door and absolutely obliterated the two truck. You can watch it here down the backstretch, but yeah, he catches the wall and I think maybe did some damage, blew a tire, something happened. Maybe some type of issue with his rig or something, and the truck just goes straight. Brent nowhere to go, unfortunately. First caution of the night. Very unfortunate for Brent, who was running up inside the top 10 most of this run too. But it throws a strategy. You can't make it from here is the biggest question. They're all going to be about 2 or 3 laps short, and I'm sure that's frustrating for guys like Sensi and Henry who had this thing figured out. But it really helps like Spencer Owens, who was short pitting everybody and didn't really seem to have the end of the run pace. I think guys that got hurt the most in this are going to be like Shane Neiswanger, who seemed to have a top 5 truck, but unfortunately are now finding themselves back around 10th because of how this all sorted out. So unfortunate break for guys like Sensi and Henry, who probably had the best strategy going, but it's gonna make this very interesting. We got to see how Sims is now because remember he tire saves a lot at the beginning of these runs. So is he going to be able to lead this group and still be able to save that tire to be fast at the end of the run? And what are they going to do for pit stops? Are they going to split this in half, or are they going to run it out all the way to the end and think that we might get a caution in the last 5 or so laps?
A monkey wrench being thrown into the strategy here as everybody's now back on even footing. And you have to think for guys like Shane Neiswanger, who had pitted on the same, who were on the same strategy as Spencer, but didn't have near the track position that Spencer did. Shane had fallen all the way back to, dare I say, the 9th or 10th position, whereas Spencer was at the end of that run up in 3rd. So track position meaning everything, but Shane Neiswanger being thrown a lifeline here by the iRacing gods as we have our first caution of the evening. Very unfortunate incident between Preston Henry and Brent Kincott. You have to feel for Brent. He's just been caught up in so much this season. Hasn't had near the luck that you would hope for in a series like this. But we applaud him for soldiering on here. But meanwhile, back at the front, or well, rather, I want to take a look at something because Ross Brockman started in 22nd, is now up to 11th. The councilman, most known for saving fuel, has made his way up and is knocking on the door of the top 10. Will he have something to say at the end of this race? I would love to see it tonight. That would be awesome. So an excellent performance from Ross Brockman here tonight.
Yeah, he definitely has speed here tonight as opposed to using his old strategy. I really thought he'd be the one to pit there and top off, but the only driver to do so was Lewis Woodall. Louis Woodall is the only driver to top off on fuel under this pit stop and try to make this one last. He's got to go 36 laps to do it. He might even pit here with the 1 to go and just top it off one more time. And from there, it would only be 35 laps, which is doable. We saw everybody go 30. Well, not everybody. We saw a bunch of guys go 34 laps. So let's see if anyone else decides to come down pit road towards the end of the field here. There's a few guys looking. Eric Kep, Robin Durr, Mike McConville. Yep. Nick Caressel made the jump onto pit road. He was 5th. He's going to throw his strategy to the wind, throw his track position out the window, and to go from 5th to probably 15th here. And he's going to try to make this one last on fuel. All the guys at pit right here are about as close as you can possibly be to doing it. They're going to have to go 35 laps. We saw guys go to 34, but they're going to have to not get a caution if it's going to work out.
I want it known too that while they didn't come down pit road, we had guys in the back of this pack that stayed out here. TCB, Shane Neiswanger, Trent Curtis, all on the apron there. Their cars, or their trucks rather, definitely shut off and coasting as much as they can to save fuel. Everybody knows where they're at in terms of fuel and how far they have to go. It's just a matter of who's light enough on the throttle to make it all the way to the end here.
We know for a fact there's absolutely nobody in front of Lewis Woodall that can 100% make this on fuel, unless maybe you're Ross Brockman. We never assume that Ross Brockman is going to run out of fuel because I don't know the last time I've seen it. But everybody back there behind Louis, Eric Kemp, all those guys, That's the question mark. If this goes green all the way through, anybody inside the top 10 will likely not win this race. Green flag coming out here for the last 30-something laps.
Pace cars on pit road. Jackson Sims looking for the flag. They're in the restart zone. He's away with a shot there. Leaves Spencer Owens and Ashton Lawson in his dust. Michael Sensi gets a little loose there with the tire spin on the outside lane, but he gathers it back up. Jackson Sims scampers away into turn one as he leaves Ashton and Spencer, two Spectrum teammates, fighting for second.
Ross Brockman, I think, spun some tires. He caught the outside wall. Zach Henry gets really loose.
Lewis Wardall just got turned off of Ross Brockman's nose. The strategy has just been literally killed. It's all over there. That's, you hate to see it for the guys who had a real shot at making this on fuel, didn't necessarily have the pace, but boy, did they have the fuel and they were going to make it interesting. I just know it for sure. It was just a case of too wide coming off the turn. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Louis drifted up into Ross, but I don't want to make accusations until we get a replay. Just an unfortunate racing incident. But there goes another caution, and here's another opportunity for guys to save some fuel. So we'll have to see how much they can save under this caution, and will it put them over the line here to make it to the end. Oh, a little bobble there from Ross, and he wasn't able to catch it before going down into Lewis Woodall. Very unfortunate incident there, too. I believe that was Jordan Gonzalez who caught a little damage on the right side there from Louis coming back down. So I have to see how if Jordan can get all that repaired and still have a fast car, or a fast truck rather, to go the rest of this race.
That's the second week in a row that Jordan Gonzalez has watched a car get hooked in front of him and had nowhere to go but into it, unfortunately. So, yeah, I know he's not going to be happy, and that's a really frustrating run for him, trying to make a comeback and come have some fun racing with us. He used to be a full-timer and had a lot go on over this past 6 months or a year, and finally making his comeback and able to come back and run with us, and just nowhere to go there. It shouldn't be, honestly, too bad of damage, at least not as bad as what he had last week at Darlington. So he should be able to at least soldier on, but it's going to probably do a good bit of aero damage. I don't think anybody decided to pit here. It doesn't look like it.
Oh, we had a whole batch of them, Elliot. It was Robin
well,
Durr,
it was the
Mike
same
McConville.
guys. Yeah.
The back half of the field knows which camp they're in terms of fuel strategy. We've got a mixed bag here, and it's going to be so interesting to see if the front can save it, because if not, they've got a hungry pack and a full pack there at the back looking to take advantage.
Yeah, it was your normal candidates of Robin Durr, Mike McConville, guys that came down before Jordan Gonzalez. But the other two interesting drivers to note here, Austin Moore, Gavin Fitzgerald, get their lap back after staying out under that caution, and they'll be able to top off and get tires. So not only are they good on fuel, they've got the best tires. Watch for Austin Moore and Gavin Fitzgerald, who have had a really frustrating night, both involved in not accidents, but different issues on track. Look for them to try to drive their way up through the field and try to make some positions back, potentially get a top 10 out of this.
Those were two drivers who were caught up in that pack towards the back of the pack, like 18th, 19th there early on in that first run, who just could not get separated from each other. So with this tire imbalance now, will they be able to make it up through the field with those fresh tires to these guys who are now out on a 7-lap run rather? Now, worth noting, it's just been 1 lap of green flag racing. So, Elliot, how much is that really going to hurt the tires?
That's not a lot. It depends on how good you are with your heat cycles. A lot of guys can manage that and be very good for the rest of the race. Other guys aren't really that good with managing heat cycles and dealing with cautions and going. So, I don't think it'll affect these guys too much. That wasn't even a lap. I mean, they barely even got into turn 3. So we'll have to see how that works for them. The big thing is just the fuel. Like, is that enough time and enough laps under caution for them to save the amount of fuel they need? I think it is, but there's still a question mark around it, and you just don't really know, especially with how hard some of these guys are obviously going to go here with just 30 laps left. So, again, look for those guys towards the back. Mike McConville, Robin Durr, Gavin Fitzgerald, Austin Moore, these guys that we know are good on fuel, to maybe make something from this and really charge up through the field, because they've got nothing to lose and they don't need to save anything.
Robin Durr's going to be one who's going to be very easy to keep an eye on. He's got that bright yellow Jasper truck there from our running. That's the same scheme as he had last week at our at our throwback race in Darlington that we unfortunately weren't able to broadcast. But meanwhile, back at the front of the pack, it's green flagged out. Jackson Sims is away and leaves once again the two Spectrum teammates of Ashton Lawson and Spencer Owens to fight for second place. They sorted out. Ashton goes through to second as Spencer's still falling. Now he's going to have to contend with the 12 of Zach Henry off of 2.
Yeah, Spencer had a really, really bad start there. Lost both spots out of it. Couldn't even stay with Sims. Sims got a really good launch. They're going to come back on the top. Sensi's still trying to fight back as well. Sensi was able to clear Zach Henry before, but now he's stuck behind him side by side, door to door with TCB on the inside. Still trying to track down Zach Henry there, but Spencer Owens trying to make some ground back as he looks to the inside of Ashton Lawson going down into turn 1 for that second spot.
These two doing battle. Meanwhile, Jackson Sims is scampering away. He loves looking back in that mirror and seeing those two side by side. They've sorted it out for now, but as we go back into another turn, they're going to try. Spencer's going to try and dive underneath Ashton here. He's going to get to his quarter panel. Is he going to have the momentum to stick with him? It looks like it. Ashton Lawson's going to clear him this time. Meanwhile, Shane Neiswanger, who had fallen off with those old tires, now with this big reset, he's past Michael Sensi, looking to make a charge back to the front. He sets his sight on the 3 of TCB.
Yeah, I think Sensi might be saving a little bit more than what he needs to here. He's let Shane go by. He's given up a good bit of ground. Right behind him is a hornet's nest, too, with Heller and Trent Curtis and Jared Darling, and he's falling right back to it. It's go time, Sensi. We don't have time to be, saving any more tire at this point. No one in front of you is doing it, and we know Sims isn't for sure. So you can see all these guys racing really hard. Mike McConville has already made up time with, I don't know if he took tires, but he's definitely got the fuel, and he doesn't need to worry about it. He's already driven up to the 13th spot with Austin Moore and Gavin Fitzgerald in tow. Remember, all those guys running about 15th to 20th. For most of this race with the issues and just the difficulty to pass back there. And now they've got these fresh tires, this full tank of fuel, and they're moving forward.
Ashton Lawson is now favoring that middle to outside lane, whereas everyone else is taking the bottom, getting their tires right down on the white line there. Elliot, how's that going to affect his tire wear as they click off the last 25 laps of this race?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's been doing it all day, Ashton has. He's been the only one to sit there and run the middle of the track, the outside of the track. But the guy in front of him is the guy that's been beating him every single lap here. Jackson Sims has been the fastest truck throughout the entire run, every run today. So we're going to have to see how that works out as Ashton goes to the inside. He's got such a big run off the top there. He's going to clear Sims going into turn 1. Spencer to the inside. You got to wonder if Sims maybe saving a little bit here, saving his tires, knowing, again, he's had the fastest truck all race long, that he might be able to make this work later on, and he doesn't need to be in front of Ashton right now.
It's a full run here. It's not a short one by any means. So for Jackson Sims, it's just another day at the office trying to save those tires and make them last the entire run. He's been the best at it all night. We'll see if he can do it again here when we get down to the final five or so laps. But in the meantime, he's under attack from the 23 of Spencer Owens with the 3 of TCB in tow. A solid run for TCB tonight. He's up to the highest point that he's been all night, looking for more going into 3.
You got to appreciate the dedication out of Jackson Sims. He has literally stuck to his strategy all night long and hasn't wavered. That's what will win you races. A lot of these guys will, they'll race hard because they're around Ashton. They're getting pressure from Spencer. They've got TCB in their mirror. They'll drive it a little harder. They'll use up a little bit more tire. Jackson has literally let this race work exactly how he wants it to. He's got Spencer all over his back end, but he's still going easy into the corner, not letting anyone force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. TCB to the inside of Spencer Owens now, but Sims is still just running his own race, letting Ashton get out a little bit, but knowing that he's had the tire all race long to make this work.
TCB down to the inside there, looking for third. He wants it. He's alongside Spencer Owens, but Spencer's going to roll that top side there and not quite be able to clear him. Oh, he will, and TCB tucks back in line, but that has brought the 5th and 6th trucks of Zach Henry and Shane Neiswanger, former teammates together last season, right back to the front of this pack here, trying to make it a 6-car fight. Actually, I don't even know if you can call it a 6-car fight because the entire field is lined up nose to tail, going as hard as they can here in the closing laps. Spencer Owens looks to the inside of Jackson Sims. He's going to have the inside going into the 1.
Yeah, we're closing in on 20 to go. The pay window's open. These guys know that it's go time. They can't just sit around and save tire. Now Sims still letting this kind of play out for him. He knows, if he can keep the second, maybe third spot. He wants to keep second, though. He knows that he's only got to pass Ashton Lawson. He'll let Spencer and TCB fight it out for third and hopefully use their stuff. Sims really close to the wall, though. He gets really tight. Now they're going to be 3 wide off of turn 2 for second place. Sims didn't want to do that. Spencer's going to be able to clear him going down into turn 1, and now he's got to deal with TCB on his inside.
Spencer Owens gets clear of Jackson Sims, moves up to that second position there. Jackson Sims with a little bit of a bobble there coming off of 4, and he's still losing time to Spencer and Ashton subsequently. So Jackson Sims dropping back. You gotta wonder, is the tire saving really worth it, Sims? Put your foot to the floor, man. Let's see what you got.
Well, you got to wonder if it's tire saving or if it's that heat cycle. Again, we did have a heat cycle, and some of these guys don't really know what that does to the tire. They don't really know how to drive out of it. You can see he blocked off Zach Henry really good, but it gave Shane a big run to the inside. Shane gets door-to-door with him. They nearly make contact off 2. Shane slides a little bit, but he's going to be able to slide ahead of Shane and move his way down the backstretch here. But you got to wonder if maybe that heat cycle is just playing against Jackson Sims a little bit more than he wants. It might not be giving him the right amount of grip that he wants and that he expected to get out of this run, just because it cooling those tires off and getting them hot again. Sensi now into the picture, right on the back of Zach Henry, who's trying to get around Shane Nicewanger.
2 cars battling each other will absolutely open up a hole big enough for a third car, no matter how far back they are, it seems, for them to come storming through and make it a 3rd or 4 car battle, depending on who they've got in tow behind them. And that's exactly what happened between the 49 and the 12. They just brought Michael Sensi right back into the fray. Whatever ground he had lost is gained right back. He is on Zach Henry's tailgate there as those two continue to do battle here. Zach peeks inside, thinks better of it, tucks back in line there. Shane Nicewanger moving forward here in the closing laps of this event. TCB, another one up there, running that higher line like we saw Ashton doing. You gotta think as we get closer to the end of this race, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as another set of tires after this. This is for all the marbles. So wherever the speed is at, you got to take it, right?
Yeah, closing in on 15 to go. You mentioned just the momentum shifts and everything. Unfortunately, we've lost Ross Brockman due to internet connectivity. He is not going to finish this one after having such a solid run. And then unfortunately getting involved with Louis Woodall. But we're talking about momentum changes and how that brought Sensi in. We saw Sensi make a crazy 3-wide move because of literally that right there. And he gets to the inside again. Shane and Zach Henry make a little bit of contact. That's going to hurt Henry, and Sensi playing the winner in that one once again. It's the second time that Shane has caught the wall in front of him, and it's gifted Sensi at least one position. Last time it got him to second. This time it'll get him up to about the 4th or 5th spot here, but Shane just really tight on that corner exit. Something with that right front not really working out for him. Sims has gone around TCB. TCB starting to fall off now, and here's where that tire saving has come in for Sims, as he's going to try to track down Spencer Owens and set his sights back on Ashton Lawson.
That entire time while that battle was happening, TCB had fallen from the 2nd position to the 4th position, still trying to take the fight back to Jackson Sims, but it's nothing doing there as Sims is looking for 2nd on Spencer Owens. Jackson, he's got the tire now. He's already fighting. We've hit 13 to go here on this one. It was only a matter of time. And so look for Jackson Sims to march his way right to the back of Ashton Lawson here. If he can get around Spencer Owens, who has had solid speed all night, he's going to put up a heck of a fight for him going into 3.
I said since he needed to hit the go-go button. He's now one of the fastest trucks on track trying to get around TCB, who we just mentioned is faltering with tires. Shane faltering as well, back to the clutches of Chris Heller with Zach Henry right there as well. TCB is just dedicated to this top lane, and it's working in the middle of the corner, but it just doesn't really seem to be giving him the benefit on entry. And you can see he gets a bit of a run down the backstretch too, but he's not able to do anything with it. Let's see if he looks to the inside. Now he's just going to push Sims. I think he knows where he is in this battle, as Shane giving the spot up to Chris Heller, starting to fall back to Zach Henry and Trent Curtis, and Jared Darling now making his way back into the picture. But you can see the guys that are faltering and that right front wearing down on them. Meanwhile, Ashton Lawson driving away. Jackson Sims needs to make a quick pass on Spencer. It's going to be all over for him pretty soon here.
TCB just caught the wall there. That's going to hurt him. to say the least, in this fight. Going to keep him back there behind Michael Senzi as Senzi continues his march to the front. Meanwhile, Jackson Sims taking the fight to Spencer Owens, going to dive it in underneath him there. Can he make it stick as Spencer rides the wall? And it doesn't look like he's going to get it clear this time. They're going to be 2 by 2 off of turn 4 as Ashton Lawson looks in his mirror and has just got to be giggling to himself as we have hit 11 to go here in this event. They're 2 by 2 still going into 1.
7/10 up, closing in on 10 to go next time by. Sims needs to clear Spencer this time. I don't think the bottom's going to work for him. Since he's going to play devil's advocate, as long as he gets up here, he may push Spencer and just kind of keep him side by side. It's going to come down to if Sims can. He's got him here, though. The race is now on. Sims has cleared Spencer. Since he's now got sights on third, can Sims track Ashton down? He's got 10 laps to do it and a 7/10 gap. Make it 7.72 to go get the 26 of Ashton Lawson.
We have just got a movie script finish setting up here. Can Jackson Sims track down Ashton Lawson? He's got a nice round number of 10 laps to do it. But like we said earlier, getting to him's one thing, passing him's a whole nother deal. But I believe if anybody's got the tires all night and the pace to do it, it's Jackson Sims. Is he chopping the lead off? It's still 6/10 there as they flash across the line. 9 to go this time.
He gained half a tenth there, 0.07 of a second, which, by that margin, he'll get there. He'll get there with about 2 to go. And don't count out Sensi or Spencer Owens here sitting at third spot. Sensi needs to make something happen and get clear of Owens. But right now, all I'm thinking is about that battle that myself and Jake Miller had a couple seasons ago. We came across the line sideways. We might be in that situation again where Ashton may have burned through his stuff and Jackson's going to catch him right at the right time, and it's going to be a great finish.
Boy, they were 3 wide there for the third place position between Sims, Spencer, and TCB. 3 wide off of 4. They sorted out as TCB falls back in line, but just an absolute dogfight here for that bronze medal position as Sims has cut in another 10th and a 1700ths, if you call it, into Ashton Lawson's gap this time. It's visibly shrinking now. You gotta know that he's gonna catch him at this current pace. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, since he's struggling to just stay ahead of TCB, can't make the pass on Spencer Owens, so that's going to basically kill all their momentum at trying to get up to Sims and Ashton Lawson here. They're going to need those guys to actually really battle and make some contact because I don't think Sensi has a tire anymore. He just keeps running the bottom, and it's just really playing into TCB's advantage. Just stick right there with him. They're still battling hard for fourth as Owens just kind of own that third spot. Sims making up ground, coming around 6 to go this time by. This one is far from over.
Oh, Sims gets in the wall there. You know he's trying hard now. All the cards are on the table. Sims had his foot in the throttle a little too hard off of the corner. Gonna drag the wall. You saw the smoke there. Elliot, how much is that damage gonna affect him, or will there be any damage with this new damage model that we've got?
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be thinking about it. Just keep focusing forward. You've got him right in front of you. You don't want to worry about what the side of the truck looks like. You don't care about suspension damage. You don't care about the toe links. You don't care about anything that's going on. TCB's in the wall back in about 5th. That's going to heat up the battle between him and Chris Heller. But right now, you want to look at that white truck in front of you, and you want to keep knocking that time down. He took another 10th out of it. That's what you care about. It doesn't matter what you do to the truck. Just keep knocking that time down. Keep getting closer and try to mount something. If you got to hit him, you got to hit him. It doesn't matter.
Under 3/10. The gap is 2.5 tenths back to Jackson Sims. He's there now, filling up Ashton Lawson's rear view mirror there. It's going to be a huge mental game as when they come around this time. It's 4 to go. Jackson Sims with a little bit of a slide there. That's going to cost him going down the front stretch here. Don't lose focus now, Jackson. He's right there where you want him.
Ashton Lawson has 6 wins in the Great Lakes Truck Series. He's done this before. He knows how to do it, and he has absolutely the advantage over Jackson when it comes to winning here. Jackson has never won in this series, still looking for win number 1 of his career in the Truck Series. And boy, would it feel good to get it over Ashton, because I believe those are the two that were battling when Sims ended up having his internet issue and he ended up losing that race. Ashton ended up going on to win, if I'm correct. So we'll have to see if he can get there. But right now, the lead's definitely kind of sorted itself out. It's about 3/10 apart, and Sims is not getting there as they close in on 2 to go. Still side by side for that third spot, though. Sensi not giving up, and he's right there with Spencer Owens.
Last time by, the difference in lap time was only 200ths. So Ashton Lawson maybe pouring it on here in the closing laps of this event. They're coming out of the corner, out of 4. 2 to go this time. Another bobble off of turn 4 for Jackson Sims. That's not going to help his momentum trying to catch Ashton Lawson, but it doesn't matter. The gap, he shrank the gap 1/10. He was better than Ashton this time as they head off into 2 and off of the corner. He's closing, but will he get there, and will he be able to perform the pass?
They are under a blanket for this 4th spot. Heller's still got it. Jared Darling with Zach Henry and TCB all right on top of each other. Sensi has cleared Spencer Owens for the 3rd spot. He looks to maybe make something out of it if these guys end up making contact or something. It's happened before, and it may happen again, but Sensi now clear up into 3rd over Spencer Owens. But can Sims do it? White flag in the air. Last time through 1 and 2. Sims is there. Can he do something going down into 3?
He's got 2 corners left to do it. Lost a little bit of a momentum. He's going to have to give a Hail Mary here going into this last corner here, as a little bit chatter back in the pack, back at that 4th spot. But Sims fires it off into 2 or into 3 rather. Doesn't look like he's going to get there. Slides it off of 4. Is not going to get there. Ashton Lawson is going to take this one here in Charlotte. What a finish, regardless of whether or not that Jackson caught him. It was an awesome finish, drama all the way right down to the end. You can't ask for much more than that here at Charlotte.
That was a really fantastic run towards the end. It looked like Jackson was going to be able to get there. Ashton Lawson able to eke it out right at the end, really asserting his dominance. He said this was his one season that he'd go for the championship. He might not be back full-time next season, and that's a good way to stamp it in moving forward, looking towards the chase, towards the end of this season.
Wrong performance from Ashton Lawson tonight, able to capitalize on that mid-race caution there to utilize that track position there and never looked back as he burns it down here on the front stretch of Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll get an interview with him here momentarily. But Elliot, how did this, with the race playing it out the way that it did you think it was going to go this way, or was it more or less drama filled as after 100 laps here?
That caution playing out was definitely interesting, but I think we got exactly what we bargained for here, because Charlotte always puts on a good show. Being able to see these guys actually play it out at the end and have their differing strategies and see who had the better and worse tires, that was really interesting to watch. And like you said, I mean, we really thought that Jackson was going to be able to get there and do it. And just watching Ashton just play it out, be nice and easy right at the end, and show why he is so good in these trucks. It was really, really cool to watch. I had him as a dark horse pick halfway through that race, and that's why. I mean, he was very fast there at the end of the run. He just needed a track position, and he needed that little bit of tire that he had. And fortunately for him, Sims may have just saved a little bit too much, and it was able to help him eke his way out. I think for Sims, he's going to look back and wish he worked over Spencer a little bit quicker and a little bit better, because he definitely had the pace. He just started faltering right at the end because he was switching up lines and everything, and it took him so long to get around Owens.
Looks like we've got our top 3 sitting in the waiting room, so we're going to bring them on in here. Michael Senzi, welcome to the booth. Nice job on a 3rd place performance here. Talk to your team owner. Tell them how good you did, because we saw it and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, the truck was great all night. We were saving tires pretty hard, but towards the end of the runs, we were able to gain a couple spots, and kind of wish it would have went green the whole time. Kind of wish I had a few more laps. Burnt up my stuff trying to fight TCB and Spencer, but man, it was fun. It feels good to finally be back up here again.
Yeah, my interesting question is how you thought that fuel mileage would have played out. Do you think you and Zach and TCB and those guys that, you all pit on 34 and probably could have made it? Do you think you could have made it to that 68, 69 mark and been able to make it on that one stop left while everyone else was looking like they were probably going to pit on about 64, 65 and not be able to make that last run?
It was going to be close, honestly. I was still probably about a lap or lap and a half short. But this track you can save a lot of tire and not give up a whole lot of time, also saving fuel. So it could have happened, but I guess we'll really never know.
Well, a solid performance tonight, man. No matter where you finished, it was uh, great time watching you dice through the field there and contend for this win here. Um, do you have anyone to thank for your performance here tonight?
Oh yeah, definitely. I got everybody at E95 always helping us out, and just the amount of support that they give all of us drivers there. And I'd like to thank my wife and my daughter for putting up with me on Tuesday nights as I scream at a video game. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great run from you tonight, Michael. We always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for coming up here and giving us the breakdown. Um, we will talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
And we're going to bring our second place finisher up in here. Jackson Sims. It's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, you ran him down. Just didn't have enough time, it looked like, to catch him. What was going through your mind there in those closing laps as you were running down Ashton Lawson for the win?
I knew getting there was going to be one thing and getting by him was another. So I was just trying to get there in time to give myself a chance. I knew he wasn't going to give me the bottom, and it's pretty hard to pass on the bottom once tires were out. So I was just maybe hoping he'd make a mistake, clip the wall or something, but he's too good for that. So I mean, did probably the best I could getting up there, but probably could have saved a little better, not drop back so far. That's what probably hurt me the most that last run, but it was fun.
It must have been fun down there on the track because it was fun watching you up here. Speaking of tire saving, there early on in that first run, there it looked like before the caution, it looked like you were the best at keeping those tires underneath you and keeping them cool. How are you managing to save all that speed there for the end of the runs and just make absolutely blistering moves in, say, the last 5-10 laps of those fuel runs?
I don't really know. I was doing nothing different than I normally do. I think it was just more the pack was so tight and everybody else was racing each other so hard earlier in a run, and I kind of just got uh, running my own pace by myself. I think that helped me. Everybody else running the dirty air. That really helped me on the end of a long run. Other than that, I mean, I was it was no different than what I do at every other track. So I don't know.
Well, it was awesome to watch it. A heck of a performance for me tonight here. Next week we go to Gateway out in the Midwest. There, how you feeling about that one compared to this 1.5 mile oval?
Not not great. I don't. I mean, I haven't run there in a while. I think the last time I did, it didn't go very well. So hopefully I keep in the top 10. I don't think I'll be as good as I was tonight, but who knows? Anything can happen.
Well, we'll be looking forward to another performance like this one, no matter how you're feeling, uh, going into the next race. So, before we let you get out of here, do you have anybody to thank for your awesome performance here tonight?
Yeah, my teammates, Rod wasn't here tonight, but Brent and you guys for everything you do broadcasting and everybody watching the stream.
Well, we appreciate the love, buddy. It was awesome to see you slicing and dicing up there. Thanks for talking to us, man. Good run tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
And last but not least, we'll get the winner, Ashton Lawson, in here. Ashton, it looked at times like you were probably a fourth or fifth place truck, but as it all cycled down towards the end, you were put in the perfect spot to get the W. How did you manage your tires and manage that last run and make sure that Jackson couldn't get back to you?
Um, I just stuck to my guns and stayed to the top side. Very difficult to pass tonight. Car truck was very tight, and if you got stuck on the bottom, you were gonna slide back. So just getting by him initially, and then not being too hard on the tires on the top side was my strategy there.
Yeah, we noticed you were pretty much the only guy to sit there and run the top. Was that a known strategy going in, or did you just feel like because everybody was glued to that bottom, the top was, the easiest spot to be with the fact that you wouldn't be messed up by aero and, usually it's harder on tires, but you seem to be making it work and make sure that you still had the pace at the end of the run. So is that just kind of your strategy going in, or did you just kind of end up there and you felt like that was your best move throughout the race with how it worked out passing?
I honestly hadn't touched the high side the whole practice session, but realizing how tight it was and with the progressive banking up top, I just assumed more banking, less dirty air equals better turn. And that's just what I went with, and it worked.
Well, you definitely made this one work to your advantage. You are a winner here at Charlotte's seventh GLTS win. How do you feel moving forward, moving through these next races like Gateway, and looking forward to the playoffs?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. We're gonna take this one week at a time and just enjoy the fact that I finally got a win at a typical mile and a half, 9 seasons in. So that's that.
Well, congratulations. Do you have anyone back at the shop or anyone that you'd like to thank for tonight's performance?
Everybody at Spectrum for showing up and giving their input whenever anybody needed questions or asked them.
Well, Ashton, pleasure talking to you. Look forward to hopefully interviewing you more throughout the season and hopefully seeing you in Victory a little bit more. But congrats on the Charlotte win tonight, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
And that'll wrap up our interviews from our top three. Always a pleasure to talk to those three here after a race. But Elliot, I've already got your thoughts on the race prior to our interviews, but looking forward here, we're down to 3 races to go in the regular season before we set up for the chase. How are we feeling with the way that points are set up going into these last 3 events?
Oh, I have to see. Obviously, a lot of guys have kind of fallen out. Jump didn't show up tonight, so I believe that Shane Nicewanger and Spencer Owens will take some jumps up. Zach Henry, but Ashton Lawson was 12th in points. Michael Sensi was 13th in points. They finished first and third. Sims was 13th in points, tied with Sensi. He finished second. So all these guys right on the outside ended up in. And there's going to be a lot of changes tonight going forward with these last 3 races. So we'll have to see how this shakes out. Guys that we felt were really solid, like Gavin and Louis Woodall, 6th, 7th in points going into tonight, ended up towards the back. So again, we'll just have to see how this all shakes out and what we're looking like moving forward. We'll run through the starting order, and then we'll start focusing on Gateway.
The points battle really coming down to the wire there for those all important bonus points for winning the regular season championship, setting up into the playoffs. So we'll take it through the rundown one more time here. Ashton Lawson is your winner here tonight in Charlotte. After 100 laps, he beats out Jackson Sims in the 6 truck, and Michael Senzi rounds out your top 3. Spencer Owens, a strong night from him after starting on pole, managed to keep it up there all night. You just have to think if that caution had fallen at maybe 2-3 laps earlier when he still had the lead, would it have been his race to win? We'll never know. Jared Darling rounds out your top 5. A solid performance from him, coming from outside the top 10, really saving those tires and coming on strong there at the end. Chris Heller started 7th, finished 6th. Solid, very consistent night for him. Same can be said for his 2511 teammate Zach Henry, finishes behind him in 7th. TCB finishing in 8th after starting 8th, right back where he started. Still a fabulous performance from him. Nicholas Caressel comes home 9th after starting in 14th outside the top 10. And Shane Nicewanger, after starting on the outside pole, we saw how he had issues holding the tires underneath him later on in the run. It came back to bite him. He rounds out your top 10.
And coming home 11th, how about Trent Curtis? Started back in 20th. A lot of these guys, actually, as we go down this list, you'll see started towards the rear. Austin Moore, Mike McConville, 2 guys that we talked about on those differing strategies, pitted on that last caution and got the extra fuel, extra tires. and drove their way up to 12th and 13th after running about 17th, 18th for the majority of that end of the race with their different strategies pitting early, which was actually really hurting them. McConville at one point was nearly 20th, I think. So for him to come back 13th, really solid run. Jordan Gonzalez, we didn't talk about him a whole lot today, ran a lot better than 14th. Unfortunately, he will find himself in 14th. Eric Kepf, we talked about his kind of slip back from right inside the top 10 to outside the top 10, ends up 15th tonight. Gavin Fitzgerald, another one, frustrating run after where he was at some point in the race. Robin Durr, Alex Feder, 17th and 18th. James Schifflin and Brent Kingcott, 19th and 20th. Not a whole lot of changes there. Kingcott actually dropped from his 10th place starting spot to 20th. And then rounding out the field, Brockman, who was involved in the late race yellow with Lewis Woodall, and Preston Henry, who was also involved in an incident with Brent Kingcott, will end up 23rd tonight.
A solid night of racing all the way around here. Thanks for everybody joining us on Split Second Broadcasting on Twitch. Give us a follow or a subscription, depending on how generous you're feeling. That's going to about wrap it up for us here in Charlotte. We look ahead next week. We're going to Gateway. The next 3 races are Gateway, Talladega, and Chicagoland, where we will wrap up the regular season. So it's coming down to the end. Who's going to be there for that precious regular season championship? But we will have to determine that in the weeks coming. For now, that's going to about do it for us here. I've been Hunter Brittle alongside Elliot Henderson. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.